maybe first of all, we should reflect on some update 14 things, because I realize that I haven't really been talking about update 14 at all. And one of my favorite things that I used to do when Vault Hunts was more active was to look at the Reddit. I love to go to the Reddit and read. So I went to the Reddit, and there is actually a thread, a discussion, State of Vault Hunters update 14, which I thought we could read, and this should give me a good idea of what one person on the internet thinks, and hopefully there are a few comments. You should all get more active on the Reddits. It'd be fun. It's very good, helpful for me to see what people think, etc. Right, this is written by Schmiegel. Update 14 brought a lot to the table. Good, bad, and bugs. This should be this should be the thing that we say about every single update. Am I right? After 3 hotfixes, the bug seems to be handled to the point that you can say that update 14 is good to play on. It's a little bit of a dig there. There are still some missing things as well. Okay, yeah, cool. That's good. The Gooch, Vault Crystal Workbench. Once more, we get a tool for an anvil-based process that was the standard far too long for the game. Given this was something we should have had by update 4 or 5, I am just happy to see it finally. So here's the interesting thing, right? To whoever, whenever you write something in the internet, and whenever you're communicating with your friends or whatever, whenever it's in text messages, I've gone the hard school. Trust me, I have pissed off so many people because I can't write properly, because I write, in a bad way. And I've been spending an awful lot of time in the past few years thinking about this, because so much of our communications today is done through text, right? So just by reading this segment of this big post, I'm already feeling pretty bad about reading the rest of this post. It's a backhanded compliment. Do you understand? Do you understand what I'm saying, though? This person has put themselves in a bad shade in the first section of their massive post. In the positive area of their post. And if you take that and you think about it, like, okay, maybe when I communicate, maybe I do something similar, because I sure did a few years ago, and I probably do any every now and again still. This gives negative vibes. Iskall is the Reddit. Oh yeah, look, guys, I'm not offended. Okay, I'm not offended by this. Maybe back in the days, a couple of years ago, okay, young Iskall was offended by things like this. I don't get offended by things like this anymore. I think that it's funny. But I thought that it would be interesting for you guys to listen to how you can phrase things. I don't care. Look, I don't care about this person more than he's a gamer in the game that I'm making, and I think that's really cool. But, don't make the mistake. Don't make the parallel that this is offending me. It's really not offending me. I'm just thinking that this is something that could be good for you guys to hear. Let's continue. The removal of RNG from Catalyst creation. It was the last place I wanted RNG. It was so bad that my current playthrough that started on update 13 has seen 0 catalysts created using the old method. I 100% agree with this sentence. The reason I lifted my hand for update 14 changes for the catalyst overhaul that wasn't originally in the roadmap was because I was playing on the Hermitcraft Vault Hunter server, and I realized that, man, I can't even be bothered with catalysts. You know what I'm saying? I was like, it's too much. I can't be bothered. Oh, it's too much to keep track of. It's annoying. And for context, what we changed here was that previously when you added a catalyst, you had a chance to exhaust the crystal to make it unmodifiable. Basically, you can't do anything more with it. Or you could indefinitely add or infinitely add more catalysts. Also, all the catalyst gaining was random. So it was 2 big RNG factors there that we removed. No one wants to make 200 catalysts for 4 plentiful catalysts and 100 plus wooden catalysts in the final result. True. So this removal of RNG was again something that should... Okay, and then here we go. And then here we go. And then he had to, or they had to, I don't know if this is a girl, boy, or whatever, neither. But here we go again. they come at this and they have to, like, you know, well, in my humble opinion, it should have been done ages ago. Okay, so then the vault crystal capacity, this was needed a long time ago. No more vault crystal fragments and need to craft the raw crystals using chromatic iron. This remains one of the stupidest mechanics introduced with Vault Hunters 3 at release. What? The need for everything to be crafted overrode the obvious why question. Glad this is gone. Okay, I made this change because of a texture issue, because I couldn't fit enough textures. I couldn't make it look pog enough to texturize the old Vault Rock with the new Vault Rock mechanics. So I made this change so that I didn't have to, you know, try and art something that was, you know, impossible in 16 pixels. I didn't ever consider that this game function was bad or anything. You know, it wasn't necessary. I'll give him that. It wasn't necessary to have it. This remains one of the stupidest mechanics introduced. I don't know about that. But it's fine. Okay, so that was the good of update 14 according to this guy. And then the bad. The loss of architect vaults. Okay, yeah, we did remove architect vaults. This is true. This is a failure on so many levels. Finally, this is like the suffix of his complaint. Failure on so many levels. Finally, we get a way to produce catalysts at reasonable cost with a vault crystal capacity system that keeps us from producing Omega vaults of doom. Now we are just adding rooms to a normal vault and having to run to them like the old days. The sad part is that the room added in late game vaults can actually be far enough away to not show up on the map in the entry room. No. That's not true. If that ever happens, it is a bug, and I would like a bug to be reported. A room, unless it's room, I believe it's like, unless it's room 170 added to the crystal, which is not possible without cheating and making everything size 0 on the inscriptions, it will never not render. So this could be a bug, but it is not what he says. The sad part is that the room added in late game vaults can actually be far enough away to not show up on the map in the entry room. No, incorrect. If it doesn't show up on the map, it's a bug. Not a common thing, but damn, it sucks to add a room, go in, and it not being is a bug. Okay, so he asks if it's bugged. So first he states that this is how it works, and then he says that it could be bugged. Should have swapped those around. Should have said something like, I might have found a bug. Sometimes I get the feeling that rooms don't render in. But yeah, if a room doesn't render in, we need, we need a proper bug submission on this. We need testing. We need, we need seeding. We need to find out why that happens, because it should never happen. This is why I don't even look at the Reddit. I think this is great. I think that some, like if you are willing, okay, to learn at any cost, this is a great source for me to learn what people like and don't like, or what this person don't like. But, I'm trying to also be educational, because there's a lot of sorting through here. There's a lot of like red lines where there doesn't need to be red lines. Does he explain why it's a failure of the new architect system? He does not. Other than that, he thinks that it gets bugged. Okay. Personally, let's talk about this. It was actually it was many discussions. I wanted to remove architect vaults a while ago, as they were, because they relied heavily on RNG, and it felt to me like RNG is a normal vault. RNG is a normal vault in finding an Omega room. I don't want your crystal. Did you know that when we played the Hermitcraft Vault Hunters, I think the Stress Monster built 4 mushroom rooms that all 4 crystals got exhausted before she had reached 100% completion. I think the new system is fantastic. I think it's so clean. We also had other issues with people cheesing the game with the completion versus non-completion. There was so much confusion about how to build an architect vault. So I think the majority of gamers playing this game are probably happy to see the architect changes. I know I am, and I know I'm not going back on it. It feels great now. And look, it will take you maximum 3 minutes. If you get a very unlucky room placement, let's say you had a blacksmith at a level 100 crystal and you get the placement three circles out, you know, in an unfavorable position, it will take you maximum 3 minutes to get there. Or if their criticism is based on the bug that they may have experienced, then fair play. If there was ever a thought that I would design the game so that randomly you would get robbed of an inscription, which is, I mean, that's the biggest troll I've ever heard, then I would be a bad game designer. Yeah, that would be a terrible decision, but that is not how it works. Okay, and so anyway, let's move on. Lack of a complete system for Vault Catalyst. There should be a Catalyst refinement table and associated expertise that works like jewel cutting. In this case, each refinement results in a reduction of size by 1 or 2. So he's talking about the fact that you find a catalyst with a size and it will have like size 15 or whatever, right? The expertise allows for up to 3 refinements. So in an 11 size catalyst could be refined to size 5. Okay. The cost for refining should be 1 gold. 1 catalyst fragment. This system will go a long way letting endgame folks build their Omega crystals of doom, but still have a high cost of entry with expertise point and gold usage. Okay, gold at the endgame is candy thanks to the Paradox Vault, but I don't have an idea to be... Okay. So, in update 14, I made it so that you can find ready-made catalysts inside the vault. This is a new addition. This didn't exist before outside the... dig site, the Omega dig site. And a lot of people are confused as to why did I do this. Maybe they were available on pedestals as well, I can't remember. But why would I, when you find a catalyst, make them bigger than the size that you can craft them? A lot of people, also in Discord, there was a discussion about this, were very confused about this decision. So, to give you full context, when you craft a catalyst, you get to choose the catalyst, you put your resources in, and you craft it at size 10 every single time. There's no RNG involved. When you find a catalyst, they span in sizes from 5, so they can be lower than the ones you craft, up to 20, which is double the size of the ones that you craft. Why would I do that? So here's the thing. When you find a catalyst inside a vault, it's free. It doesn't require catalyst fragments. There now is a way, theoretically, even though, you know, the chances are extremely low, that you could consistently run modified vaults. That didn't exist in the past. So, of course, if you find a catalyst in my vision, of course, if you find a catalyst, it needs to have a chance of being better for the chase and have a chance of being worse than the ones you craft, because you found it. It was free. There was no resource. You didn't spend anything to get it. You found it. And, you know, they can also be in bounties, and they can also be in the soul shard table, the black market. And all of them can roll the different sizes. I think that it is very obvious. I don't think that finding catalysts... I don't think that cutting a catalyst is a terrible idea. I think that it's an interesting idea. Here's the reason why it doesn't exist in the game yet, if it is ever to come, which is not something that's on the table right now. And the reason is because it's a new system. We need to see how it balances out. I need to play hours and hours and hours to get this into my brain. And at the end of the day, I'm not 1000% happy with the dual system just yet. With cutting, I think it's still something is missing, and so I don't want to just copy paste that system and think that we're golden. I like anything where you get a choice as a player to improve something at a cost of something. I think that's always a good mechanic because it gets you to spend resources. So I don't think that's a terrible idea. It's not something on the agenda yet, though. Okay, so that's the bad with update 14, according to this guy. Wow, okay, here we go. A lot of the missing. Greed levels. I have played MMOs and dungeon crawlers for over 35 years at this point. And yes, I remember when Dirt was invented. I mean, the man has played video games for 35 years and still cannot formulate a sentence without having negativity in every single sentence he writes or they write. When Dirt was invented and listed to music on 8 track types. Okay, they all make the same mistake. Some awesome special levels that you can access. They make it endgame content because it was nothing more than an idea at launch. You play for years and the promise is never fulfilled or lacking once it is. We are now 19 months of Vault Hunters being available and we have 0 greed levels. Personally, this is the same failure made by every other game that has promised special levels. Does anyone remember my reluctancy in Vault Hunter's first edition, Vault Hunter Legacy? Does anyone remember how reluctant I was in releasing the game to you guys? I was very reluctant. Why was I reluctant? Exactly for this reason. Because I had a big vision, but we are a team. We are a very small team running with extremely like you cannot compare it to a game studio where people have, you know, decent salaries and decent work hours. We are working for nothing because we think it's really fun. Greed levels are coming. Probably not. We are probably not going to call them greed levels. We call them greed tiers now internally. But all of the endgame stuff is planned for update 16. Why did we include it from the beginning? It's a good statement, right? It's a good statement to say, hey, you promised this. Why didn't you work on it first? Well, because it's at the end of the game. Because we're still in alpha, we have to play through the game first and see where we're at. Why did we promise it in the first place? Marketing. It's a great hook to say that this game will continue past the finish line. It's also an important thing to have in dungeon crawlers, as this guy surely knows, that you need to have an endless mode. You need to have a mode where you can keep challenging yourself and your friends. And we have a great plan for that. Very exciting plan, indeed. But you just have to wait and see to update 16. But anyway, prove me wrong, Iskall. Wow, this guy is... Okay. Oh, but with update 15 and 16 being the last 2 updates for Vault Hunters 3, I suspect it is an empty promise. This guy is so mad, man. Why so entitled? Why so mad? Why so much? Okay, sorry, man. Apologize. The missing purpose for Paradox Vault. I love the Paradox Vault. I really get into building it and having a map and the decision making of how I want it to work. Running it is fun, but that is where its purpose ends. The loot can be crazy, so crazy that it breaks the black market, as you can gamble daily for hundreds of items. So crazy that the endgame crafting of gear is a waste of resources. So crazy that if you don't perfect prismatic tools at level 100, it is a choice, and not because you never found the resources. With the expertise for legendary modifiers and good Paradox Vault, you can have perfect set of Omega legendary armor and weapons for the Herald fight. You can have a stage-specific armor sets, actually still have an item quantity and item rarity sets for normal vaulting. It was stated that you would need the crazy loot for the greed levels and at endgame. I just cannot see how a daily stream of 10,000 Vault Essence or 2,000 Vault Diamonds or 100,000 Larimar and Benny could ever be used. Seriously, 1 to 3 Omega Pogs worth of gems daily. Is greed level items going to use 4 to 6 Omega Pogs each? Okay, this is gonna sound crazy, right? But I kind of dislike Paradox Vaults. And I know that they are recently added. I think that I bent too much to the community at the time. If I had a choice, which I don't for Vault Hunters 3, but if I had a choice, I think I would do... So, I think it's a bit forced. I think Vutax used this term for other things, and I think it's a very good term to use, forced. I felt like we were under pressure to deliver on the gods and the god system after we removed idols. And I think that the theory and the concept behind building your daily vault is good. I do think it's a fun idea. But I also think that this guy is correct. I think that it does also saturate or desaturate, whatever you call it, the rest of the experience of playing Vault Hunters. We are now at a state where something I've said all along gets proven right? And that is, you guys think that you want more. You guys think that the amount of trinkets you find is too little, or you know how many discussions we've had about, oh, trinket rarity and all of these things, and how many Reddits there have been about it. Oh, I'm level 42 and I still haven't got my first trinket. This game sucks. You know, all of these things that we've had in the past, right? And I've always said, like, you know, if you would have access to all the trinkets, you wouldn't enjoy finding a trinket. And this is the same for Paradox Vault. Once you've got a mastered Paradox Vault, which I pretty much got in the Hermitcraft playthrough, then, you know, why would I ever run a Catalyst Vault? And it does also make it really difficult to balance things like soul shards and black market purchases and all of these things. So I agree. I think that Paradox Vaults are too powerful, and I think that the whole concept of Paradox Vaults is too difficult to understand. I think, even though this is not something that's on the agenda and we don't have the manpower for this, but how can you make a build a vault not overpowered when you get to choose, and not boring, mind you? Because of course I could just lower the rates of Omega rooms, I could lower the rates of everything, and you know. But the problem is that at the end of the day, there's a fine balance between not boring, not frustrating, and not overpowered. Lock them behind greed levels. Yeah, is the positioning on Paradox Vaults wrong? Like, do you need to make it a past level 100 thing? Perhaps. I don't know. Reset them periodically. Also, you make your Paradox Vault and they only last for 7 days. Something like this. That could be... Oh, that would be so aggravating, though. They only last for 7 days. And then you get that call from your stupid brother who needs your help for the next 4 days. You've just finished it and they're like, we gotta repaint our house. So you gotta come down here and help out. Oh, that'd be rough. You could limit it per run, so you could say, like, okay, this Paradox Vault you can do 7 times and then, you know, boom, gone. I am a bit shocked to see that chat seems to think like... Chat actually seems to dislike Paradox Vault in general. Like, just remove them, you know, cancel them. Yeah, no, I think Paradox Vaults are not in the best state. It was a crap ton of work for Wutax. It was a crap ton of work for me. At the end of the day, I think that the product is cool. I think that it's unique. I think that it's like very, very, very special. But I do think that there are elements with it that is not good for the game. Forget about the build aspect of vaults. Maybe that is the problem, right? Build a vault in its entirety is too powerful. Giving access to the player to design their vault fully is too powerful in general. And it also goes against too much of the general game loop, which it does. Forget about it. I'd rather say we're going to open up some god shops. And you get to gain reputation with gods by doing their tasks. And when you gain reputation with gods, you get access to buying these things frequently. Like the shop will reset once a day or whatever it is, you know. I think that would be a lot cleaner. You'd build your base. You'd maybe build like a, you know, an altar for Idona. And Idona shop sell XYZ at different reputation levels. Paradox Vault continued. Some things that should be considered for Vault Hunters 4. If they keep the Paradox Vault, then a limit on the max rooms should be set to something like 40. Basically a room limit that says this meets our needs for endgame resources, but is not so overpowered that it breaks everything else. I just can't see a point in the design of Vault Hunters where they expect the people to say, I scrap anything that is not Omega or Legendary Omega. Yet we have a tool that before 100 gives you that option. Even a small Paradox Vault built good can make the game a completely different experience. And generally, while it feels good, it impacts how you play the regular vaults, if you even bother with them anymore. Yeah, I think this guy's right. I think that's true. And maybe, you know, duct taping Paradox Vaults is the solution. By duct taping, I mean maybe we keep them in the game, you know, and maybe we just change some numbers around, right? Maybe that is the way to go. Conclusion, we are going to get, I hope, 2 good updates with update 15 and 16 with several patches for both given the SMP will testing and source of behind the scenes input. But given the time left for development, I don't expect SMP to really be able to test level 100 plus endgame content before update 16 is out. That is why I think we have what we are getting for endgame content, and that is all that we are getting. This man is so sad. Dude, he is... You know what this guy needs? Honestly, you know what this guy needs? He needs to hear a good, funny duck song or something. When the duck walked into the lemonade stand and he said to the man, run in the stand, hey, boop, boop, boop. Like, he needs a little bit of brightness, right? This is what he needs. I really hope update 16 being the last update will focus on... I really hope update 16 being the last update will focus on bugs and stability so that Vault Hunters 3 is set up as a viable mod pack for a long, long time. I think it is a viable mod pack. I think that Vault Hunters is a viable mod pack. I don't think it has any game-breaking bugs, as it were. I think that it's in a good state. I think update 14 was a good start. Wow, okay. I just wish that the 3 patches for it would have been more about tweaking the stuff that was added, vice bug fixes. Good ideas are ruined by poor implementation, and bad ideas are just bad ideas no matter how well they get implemented. What does this mean? So it says that Iskall comes up with something good and then Vutax ruins it in his implementation, and then Iskall also has bad ideas that are just bad ideas. Anyway, I do think that Paradox Vaults aren't what I was hoping for them to be. I also look at it like this. Everything is like a little bit of a playground. And you know what? It's my playground. And other developers' playgrounds. I think it was even Hellfire that said at one point, and I don't fully endorse this Hellfire statement. I don't think this is correct way of doing it, but I do think that there is value to it. He said, you know, we should just throw things at it and see what happens. And with some implementations that we do, I think that that is the way to do it. Because no one dies, you know, no one is losing. They get to test out things and get to try things, and then, you know, oh, it didn't work out. Okay, so we move on. But I don't think it's a terrible way of looking at things. You know, I like the hashtag trust the process, because I do believe that the vision for Vault Hunters has come fruition and I think that it's still to be extended on, and I think that it has made thousands of people extremely happy to play the game. And so yeah, obviously this guy is very passionate about the game, which is a good thing. It is a good thing.